Hey guys, Andrew with AP Collectibles here. I'm going to do a nice little video on how to read Pokemon cards. If you are not someone who plays the game, maybe you're just cracking packs, maybe you're new to the game, maybe you're a collector, whatever it may be, it's not always the most intuitive as to how to read your cards. So we're going to go over the different types of cards in the game, go over a little bit of history. We're going to talk about the Pokemon, the trainers, and the energy, and go into some of the alternate variants and printings that we've seen over the years. So let's jump right in. We're going to start with the basics, and let's just talk about the information that you see on a Pokemon card. And I'm referring to the Pokemon cards as opposed to the trainer Pokemon cards and the energy Pokemon cards. If you're a collector, if you're new to the game, these obviously on the surface have the most value to you. So you should know what you're looking at. What we have here are three different cards from three different kind of eras of sets. This is the Bellsprout from the original Jungle set. This was released in '98. It was the second set ever released at the time by Wizards of the Coast. And this is what those original cards looked like. We have two cards here, a Fennekin and a Squirtle. Fennekin was from the X and Y generation of Pokemon. The card looked a little bit different, obviously, than the first few sets that were printed by Wizards of the Coast. After the Neo set in the second generation, Wizards of the Coast stopped designing and printing these cards, and the Pokemon Company took over. So we see a really big difference in the card designs here. And I also have a Squirtle. This is from the newest release, the Pokemon Go set that came out last month. And really, the information on these cards is going to be very much the same, but I wanted to show them side by side because in some cases the information is different. I'm going to start with the Squirtle, and then as differences come up, we'll talk about them on these cards, but there is a lot of information on here for us to go through. First and foremost, the name of your Pokemon is up on the top, fairly obvious, as well as the typing. This typing is going to be noted by the symbol that you see here. This symbol is for water. We see it on the water energies, and it dictates, in most cases, the color of the card itself, the main color here. No impact on the game itself, but we do see the Pokedex number here, the type of Pokemon. In Squirtle's case, it's a tiny turtle Pokemon, a height and weight, just for flavor. No impact on the game. Also, just for flavor, down here we have what was called a flavor text. In the case of Pokemon, a lot of the times these are Pokedex entries. So this Squirtle, I'm not sure if you can read it on camera, this Squirtle reads, "When it retracts its long neck into its shell, it squirts out water with vigorous force." So cute little Pokedex entry for the Pokemon there. Now, from this point on, everything I'm going to say kind of requires a little bit base knowledge of the game. I will go over this a little bit, but I want to keep this video short. I don't want to go into, I don't want to make this a how to play Pokemon video. But in the top right-hand corner, in the original Wizard of the Coast printings, this number was red. When Pokemon Company took over, this number became black. This is your HP. Hit points, health points. This is the amount of health your Pokemon has, and if this number is depleted, it is knocked out. So quite obviously, the bigger the number, the better here. On your basic Pokemon, your first evolutionary forms, this number is pretty low. If the Pokemon you're talking about does evolve, you're looking at a number of anywhere between 30 to 80. A fully evolved Pokemon, for example, I have the Charizard here. We're looking at 170. So from its base form here, as I know it's a Squirtle. Let's take a look at Charmander actually. So Charmander from its basic form has 60 HP up to Charizard is 170 HP. So that number is always, I can't think of a case where it doesn't grow with every evolution. And like I said, basic is marked up here in the upper left-hand corner. This means this is the first, and in some cases the only, evolutionary stage in this line. So we know that Squirtle evolves into War Turtle, so Squirtle is the basic form here. The second half of the card here beneath the artwork is your information box. This has abilities, powers, attacks, everything that this Pokemon can do. On the right hand side, there is a damage number. This is how much damage the attack does. Some attacks do no damage, and if that is the case, there will not be anything here. To the far left hand side, we have an energy requirement. This shows the number of energies needed to fully power up this Squirtle to use the water gun attack. In this case, this Squirtle would need 1 water energy attached to it to use its water gun attack. In the case of this Fennekin here, we see the fire energy symbols, which match the energy we have here. And then we see this silver star symbol here. That also means that an energy must be attached. So live coal requires 2 energy, one that is fire and one that is any other kind. So this symbol here means any other energy. So this Fennekin could use live coal if it had this fire energy and this darkness energy attached. I don't know where this rumor started. I've heard this before, but let's talk about weakness. Down at the bottom, we see that Fennekin takes double damage from water attacks. This weakness here does not in any way impact the type of energy you can attach to. So I don't know where this rumor started, but even though Fennekin is weak to water, you can still attach a water energy to it. If you had a fire and water Pokemon deck, you can absolutely fully power up this Fennekin using a water energy. There we go. Yeah, so then there's weakness down the bottom. Now, this is where it looks a little bit different depending on these generations of cards, but focusing on the bottom here, we see that weakness, slightly different placement, and then we see resistance. None of these Pokemon that I'm holding in my hand here have resistance, but if it did, so for example, if one of these Pokemon was a flying type, it would have resistance to ground, and it would show you how much resistance it takes there. At different times with different printings, that number has changed. Typically is either 20 less or 30 less damage done by attacks from Pokemon of that type. And then we get a retreat cost. The retreat cost in the case of Squirtle, Fennekin, and Bellsprout here is 1 of any energy type. Typically, the larger, like the physically larger the Pokemon is, the higher that retreat cost is, or the faster that Pokemon is, the lower the retreat cost is. So Charizard is significantly bigger than a Squirtle, so it requires 3 energy in order to retreat. Getting into some finer details here, down at the bottom of the card, we do have in some releases a full date and company stats down here at the bottom. Shows up a little bit different depending on the generation. And then we have a whole bunch of symbols here in the corners of these cards. They're in different places on all of these here, but I'll point it out on the Squirtle. We're looking at a symbol that matches the set. So we can see here that this card is from Pokemon Go. Pokemon Go set included this little graphic here, but in the case of Fennekin, if you didn't know what this tiny little symbol was here, you wouldn't know what set it's from. So that is the set symbol. It indicates the release. So the set symbol for the Pokemon Go set are these 2 little Pokeballs here. That's a G-O. We also have a card number within the set. So this Squirtle, it says 015/078. That tells us that in this set, Squirtle is card 15 in a complete set of 78. This Fennekin here is card 8 out of a complete set of 39 cards. I believe this is from a promotional set from a deck box, so it's a significantly smaller complete set there. And this Bellsprout we can see in the corner here is card 49 from a 64 card set. So slightly different placement on each of those, but we do see the card number. And the card number there is super important because obviously well, maybe not obviously, but there have been numerous printings of Bellsprout. There have been way more printings of Squirtle. And sometimes a Pokemon will get multiple printings within the same set. So if it doesn't, but if Pokemon Go had 2 Squirtles printed, the only way to differentiate them well, in addition to their stats, would be the set number. They would have different set numbers down here. We also have a card rarity on all of these cards. This circle symbol here tells us that this Squirtle is a common. Let's look at the Charizards we've got here. Charmander is a circle, that is a common. This Charmeleon has a diamond shape, that is an uncommon. And then this Charizard here has a star, that star is a rare. So those are there are more rarities, but those are the basic rarity indicators. Circle for common, diamond for uncommon, and star for rare. In the newer sets, this is a very nuanced thing. In the newer sets, we see a letter here. They didn't start doing it until the more recent printing, so we're not going to find this letter on the XY generation and thereabouts. It's not on the black and white cards. It's really only on the newest of the sets. This letter refers to a grouping of cards in the set that was designated by the Pokemon Company when they created these cards. As of right now, there have been no major usages of these letters, but Pokemon has said that in the future, there may be events, formats, or deck construction stipulations that involve these letters. So for example, every card with the letter F is banned from this event, or your deck can only be made with cards that have letter A, B, C. They really haven't utilized it yet, to my knowledge. Please let me know in the comments if I'm wrong. But it is a way for them to potentially manipulate the game down the road. I would not worry about it. I would not pay particular attention to it, especially if you're just a collector. But that's what that letter is there. Cool. So we talked about how these Pokemon here were basics, and we can see that they say basic in the upper left-hand corner. Looking again at this Charizard line here, we see that the Charmander is basic. The Charmeleon gives us a little bit of some reminder up here. It tells us that it evolves from Charmander. It gives us a visual of what Charmander looks like, and it tells us that this is a stage 1 Pokemon. In the case of the Charizards here, we see evolves from Charmeleon. We have a picture of Charmeleon, and it is a stage 2. The pictures of the thumbnail pictures here of the previous evolutionary form, they don't need to match. This is Charmander, even though it's not posed the same way here. This is Charmeleon, even if it's not posed the same way here. It's just a visualization because this is a kid's game, and you might not be able to read evolves from Charmander, so you need to know that that matches there. I have 2 Charizards here because I want to talk about something that they did in sets. I think in the most recent 3 generations of Pokemon printings here. This Charizard is a holo rare of holo rare rarity. It has a holographic foiling here to the art box in the card, and we see that it is a rare here. So rare, holo, holo rare. This Charizard is what is referred to as a reverse holo. So you can see the differences in the holo foiling in that foil that's on these cards. The holo rare has the foiling in the art box. The reverse foil is inverse of that. The art box is not foil, and the rest of the card within the border is foil. These rarities, holo rares and just non-holo rares, these cards take up the rare spot in a booster pack of Pokemon cards. In the newer editions, in editions that have reverse holos as an option, there is a separate reverse holo slot. So in every booster pack of cards, you have your commons, your uncommons, a reverse foil space, which could have a rare card, and your rare slot. These 2 did not come from the same pack, but in theory they could have, because the Charizard would be in the reverse position, and the Charizard that is foil rare would be in the rare position. So I've got these here to show you the basic stage 1, stage 2 progression, and these 3 here to show us different types of basics here. A lot of information, I know, and I'm about to throw another curveball at you. This is what the bread and butter of the Pokemon card game looks like, but we have gotten a lot of different printings over the years. These are referred to as rule box Pokemon. So in the on these cards here, these do not have any rule boxes, but over the years we've had EXs, we've had GXs, Vs, V stars, V max, all different types of full art cards here. So these are full art. You can see that the artwork takes up the entirety of the card compared to where on these regular printings, the information boxes are within this card border. These cards have extra rules that go with them, hence the rule box here. This is a Sableye V, so it is subject to the V rule. This is a Glaceon EX, it is subject to the EX rule. This GX here is also a tag team, so it has a tag team rule. Same thing here with the V star rule. So really, in the case of all of these printings, these additional rules just remind us how many prizes your opponent gets to take when one of these Pokemon faints, when it is knocked out in battle. All of these that do not have rule boxes are worth 1 prize upon knockout. The tag teams are worth 3, and it reminds us down here, when your tag team is knocked out, your opponent takes 3 prizes. EX, Vs, and V stars, these all are worth 2 prizes, and that rule box reminds us there. These cards are beautiful. The information is sometimes compressed or rearranged in a different way to help us better see and enjoy the full art of the card. And then within these, there are multiple foiling variants. The V stars here, as well as the rest of these, I'm just doing this because it's the only one that is single sleeved, have a texture to the foil. You can really see that there's, in this case, it's kind of like spiral. It almost looks like a fingerprint on the card. Some of them have cross hatching. Some of them really follow the artwork super well. So you'll see that on these full art printings. You got these standard Pokemon cards and you've got the full arts, kind of meet them in the middle. There have been a couple different printings here. I have a Radiant Blastoise and a Volcanion Prism Star. Also in this category, there are Prime cards, there are Shining cards, and they have a rule box as well. But this rule box doesn't remind us how many prizes they take. It reminds you how many of these you can have in your deck. So in the case of Star Prism and Radiant cards, you can only have 1 of these in your deck. Whereas any other card in your deck, aside from basic energies, we'll get there, you can have up to 4 copies. 4 copies we refer to as a full play set. These Prism Stars and Radiant cards remind us that we can only have 1 of these in the deck. That is because typically they have an ability, an attack, some interaction with the game that is so powerful, if there was more than 1, your deck would be too strong. So we have these cards that remind us here. They get a cool foiling, they get a nice little feature, but really they look extremely similar to the standard printing cards that we are used to seeing. But that is worth mentioning. Almost done. Let's get to the trainers and the energies. In the Wizards of the Coast's printing, as well as the XY Evolution set, which threw back to these printings, this is what your trainer card looked like. You couldn't miss it. If you can read the word trainer, you knew that it was a trainer card. We have the name of the card artwork, and just like the Pokemon, we have the information box. This is what our card does. You still have a set symbol, you still have an artist credit and the branding and year stamp at the bottom. You still have a set number and you still have a rarity symbol. In this set, in these Wizard of the Coast sets, the set symbol was placed higher in the box. Whereas these are all from the Pokemon Go set that just released. They're all in the same placement of the Pokemon that were printed in that set. In the original printing, in Wizard of the Coast printings, that is, there was only 1 type of trainer card. If you're familiar with Magic, these were your spells. It is a card that comes into play, does what it does, and then gets discarded. Pokeball. Only 1 type of trainer in the Wizard of the Coast set. As the game advances, as it evolves, this trainer card gets split into 3 different types of trainer cards: items, stadiums, and supporters. They still say trainer. They still have a lot of the same information on them, but there are subtle differences to these cards, and we get a reminder of what that subtle difference is here at the bottom. It still has its name, its set symbol, artist credit, all of the other stuff that we covered on those cards. The important note is up in the top right-hand corner of these cards and the reminder in the bottom right-hand corner of these cards. Items, as the card reminds us, you may play any number of item cards during your turn. Supporters, it reminds us, you may play only 1 supporter card during your turn. And stadiums, unique to the 2 there, we just talked about, the stadium stays in play when you play it, and it is discarded if another stadium comes into play. If a stadium with the same name is in play, you can't play this card. So this is a Pokestop stadium. If there is a Pokestop in play, I cannot play another Pokestop to override it. It will not refresh the ability, it will not do anything, and in fact, the game prevents me from doing that. So there are your 3 types of trainers here: items, stadiums, and supporters. There are variations within here. These prism stars I talked about, there are stadiums that have this prism star rule. There are items that are actually Pokemon tools that you can attach to a Pokemon to power it up rather than play it, have its do an effect, and get discarded. But really with these trainer cards, what the important thing to remember is what the reminder is telling us on the bottom right hand of the card. And lastly, we have our energies. I have 5 energies here that were printed from Wizards of the Coast. Very simple design. We see the energy symbol itself in 2 places that tells us what type of energy the card is. We have, in the case of some of these, a first edition set symbol because they were first edition and unlimited printings back then. And the set number and credit we see there. Even back in the day, these cards did not have rarities. You can see there is no rarity symbol down in this corner. The rarity of a basic energy card is basic energy rarity. If you're familiar with Magic, that is the same thing with basic land rarity. In the vast majority of Pokemon booster packs, you're always going to get 1 energy. These are some of the newer energies. The design has changed a little bit, as you can see, but the elements are still the same. Still says energy. It still has a small and a large energy symbol, some sort of flair or some artwork in the background there, but really everything else is the same. With these energies, they dropped the set numbers from them because this design is used for many numbers of sets. So these energies don't even belong to a particular set because they're shared with across multiple sets. And there you go. That's how to read your Pokemon cards. Maybe you've learned a little bit about playing the game here just from what I've gone through. There will be more videos I'll be posting shortly with how to play the game, putting up some tutorials and things like that. But hopefully this now, if you're a collector or you're just starting out, just helps you understand how to understand your cards. Absolutely. If you have any questions, if I missed anything, if you are a veteran player and I got something totally wrong, please call me out on it. Let me know. Ask those questions. And like always, please don't be shy with the like button, the subscribe button, and the bookmark button on your browser. Check back often. Again, this is Andrew with AP Collectibles. Thank you so much for joining me.